Managing complex projects through project management and business operations systems. This is our agenda today. We're going to be given an opportunity for introductions and go over our class objectives. And then we're going to go over some very specific project management systems that have been very empowering to the construction, design, architectural, engineering sector. I think it's going to be important that you're aware of these tools. There are also some operational management and other administrative programs. They use the term in the technology arena, software as a service, SaaS. And so a lot of these .com businesses have these models that are set up to make small firms more efficient. And so I'm going to go into some very specific materials relating to each one of those organizations. I'm going to play a short introductional video for each one of those organizations. And in this very thick presentation, you can see it's about a ½ inch thick. There is some really good material as it relates to if you decide that, hey, I like that content with that specific subject. So we'll use Bluebeam as an example. I like that. I think I want to go home and download it. We've provided the instructions so you can download it. And we can provide an e-copy of the presented material as well. We've made some small edits because we realized that you couldn't see some of the material. And then of course we're going to have open discussion. We'd like to be able to get active input throughout. We're not going to wait till the end and think that you were patient enough to wait, because I know I'm not. So when you have a question, please, feel free to share it. We love your questions, and there is no bad questions. The class objectives that we have today are, number one, to introduce tools and technologies that leading industry professionals are using to make their organizations more efficient and profitable. The next is we want to share efficiencies gained by using these project management and operation management tools. We want to share best practices on how these technologies can impact your profit and production in the field, as well as we want to become a resource to your closely held business. I'd like you to kind of give some thought, because this is how I want you to do it. I'm going to introduce myself and I'm going to leverage these cameras, because these cameras are going to be able to focus in on my eyes, my body language. I'm going to look to the camera. Well, my name is Dan Seidel. I own Platinum Group. I am the founder. We're established in 2001. We're a business development company and construction management company. We work on large capital improvement projects across the state of Washington, Oregon, and California. And we work with large public agencies, contractors, owners, reps. It's really important that we create a mutual benefit for the folks that are here today, as well as the viewers, that they can benefit from this material. And my other goal is that they'll be able to take this material and be able to apply it into their life and business, where it can have measurable returns immediately.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sharon Maxwell, and I am the owner and founder of Boanerges Bratton Construction. I was 25 years in construction with 19 years of owning and operating my business. We are a general contractor, specialty contractor, doing both civil and vertical work. I'm here today because I want to bring all of my skills and ability as the owner to the forefront with WashDOT to be able to secure civil work and grow the volume and capacity of our firm. So thank you so much for having this today.
My name is Tina Berg. I'm with Sias Consulting Engineers. We're a civil engineering and survey firm located on Bainbridge Island. Have been in business since 2006. We've done a number of projects with WashDOT as a DBE sub on a lot of these projects. And with our experience, we've continued to get more. We're actually going to be, we've spent the last 7 years working on the tunnel and are going to be actually doing the pre and post building survey conditions coming up for the demo. So that being said, I have only been at this for about a year myself, so I'm hoping that this program will help me be able to set up kind of the management end of these larger projects and be able to take them to fruition in a more efficient manner, because I kind of have fallen heir to a lot of practices from several people before me. So I just kind of want to find a better way. And we just got Bluebeam, and so I'm hoping that I can learn a lot about that today that will help me be more efficient.
Thank you both for sharing, and you did a great job. You've obviously have done this before. Both of you have had, experiences in project management. What I'd like to do is think about how project management systems have helped you in the past. Think about some of the pros and cons of those systems. Think about, did they impact profitability, or was it just kind of a time sink? It hasn't had a return on the investment to the investor. Did it influence production? There are some bad habits. By default, you start practicing those bad habits because nothing better has been introduced. Did it improve communication with your team, staff, vendors, your clients? How much did it cost to manage projects using that system? It may have cost more labor, but maybe you were more informed or educated where you were in the project. What type of lessons learned did you capture? And did you develop any common or best practices from that? Okay, so let's talk about this much, because even in the healthcare environment, you're having to manage either patients, you're having to manage staff. I know because I used to own a healthcare company. I had 250 nurses working for me, and I don't have a degree in nursing. So technology, relationships, resources, and God's blessing allowed that to happen. And so what I want you to give some thought to is, no matter what your background is, there is some transfer. And so what we want to do is find those areas that we can transfer and have some of those best practices align. And so that's what we'll do. So I'm going to share a little bit about some of these various technologies so you can kind of see how they can impact your life and your business. Project operation management technologies. We're going to cover 4 different technologies today: Bluebeam, BuilderBox, Constant Contact, and YBC, your Biz in the Cloud. Additional programs that we recommend are, obviously, Microsoft has a suite of projects in their Office Align, and Excel is a great program. You can export data from Excel into Microsoft Project, as well as other programs. Access is a nice tool. SQL, Outlook is a great tool to manage your calendars and invites and emails and so forth. I use a tool called Efax. Now, Efax, you think, well, who's faxing? Well, unfortunately, people are still faxing even today. But I don't have a fax machine per se. Someone faxes something to me and it comes to me in an email. Right. And so now I have a record of all faxes, in or out. And I can send faxes out. The outgoing fax is a lot more effective on bid day. You can send it to 100 different or 1,000 different people in your database. Quickbooks, again, for a cheap accounting program. I've worked in Peachtree, Timberline, and other programs as well. But QuickBooks is a really inexpensive tool that links well with your year-end. And most accountants and CPAs, bookkeepers, fine tax professionals, they have some understanding of QuickBooks. Grasshopper isn't what you think. Grasshopper is a program that I use for telephone communications. Someone calls your office and you don't necessarily know who that call is. You don't want that call to interrupt your day. Or maybe that call could be dispatched to someone else. And so grasshopper.com is a service, and I have an 800 number. Someone will call in, and whether or not they leave a message or not, I have a voicemail that basically identifies that caller. Now, if they leave a voicemail, then I have the benefit of having that voicemail also documented in an electronic file. You know how important misunderstanding and mistranslation can be. This helps that. What they do, Grasshopper, they also will type up the message. So I don't have to look at the message, I can see it. But sometimes if you have a lisp like I do, a speech impediment. You know, I have a speech therapist that I see. Sometimes they don't pick up on the accents and so forth, but to me, that's a great tool for me, for a dashboard, so I can see what kind of communications I have, and I'm very responsive. In my case, I also run the Entrepreneurial Institute of Washington, and it's a nonprofit. I have a board that I have to be accountable for, and if people are calling and I'm not responding, and so what I want to do is have a clear, tool that I can share with my board. Co-construct, and a lot of your large public works projects, they require information on time codes. And so those time codes are going to be responsible for documenting all your labor hours. So if you have 4 people working for you or 40 people working for you, you have to be able to give that consideration to the overall project and documentation. This program allows you to do that. It also has cost codes, so you can incorporate cost coding into your program. And so great tools that really empower the small business. Now we're going to talk about Bluebeam. To me, it's very relevant because, as you can see, it's a fast-growing technology. 4+ billion transactions of information back and forth. Over 1 million users. 94% of US contractors are using this program. 86% of design firms are using this program. And so this is what comes straight off of their site. An award-winning software, Bluebeam View, serves as an industry-leading markup and collaboration solution that connects all projects and teams, setting the standard for design and construction professionals. The key to their success is their customer-focused approach to product development. And so this company, established in 2002, they are definitely doing a great job. And I'm going to walk you through our materials that we have for them, and then I'm going to play a short video for some of you who are familiar with Bluebeam. This will basically be a summary of those capabilities. Those of you that are not familiar, it will show you some features that you could be using today. So number one, our goals for the Bluebeam section are to provide an overview of the Bluebeam technology. We want to share some general contractor best practices. We want to identify pros and cons and common uses. And then we want to help coach you post this class with mastering project and contract opportunities using this technology. Our agenda for this section is we're going to go over definitions. We're going to leverage document control using Bluebeam. We're going to go over the dashboard, and this is a term that's used a lot. And to me, it's something that really empowers individuals, managers, business owners that don't have the time to get into every detail of the organization or the project. It can tell you about the health of your business. It can tell you about the profitability of your business. It can tell you about the performance and efficiency of your business in so many different areas of your project and so forth. So having a dashboard is critical, but having a dashboard that is meaningful to you is even more important. Also, we're going to talk about how clarifications that come in on projects, and then who's responsible for it. Because a lot of times you're copied on an email, but are you supposed to do something with it? And so these are things that need to be considered. And then the architect and designer, they're making changes. And so as they're making changes, you need to be giving consideration to how that is impacting you, as well as what is your role in reaching a resolution to that change. And then we want to show you how to use Bluebeam. And so the video will go into that, and then after that we have some pricing information that we'll go through as we're going through this, as well as the download instructions. Bluebeam empowers their users to organize and update documents as a project progresses in real time. And so many of you are familiar with PDF. It allows you to add dynamic characteristics and capabilities and organize to that one document. And so you'll see that we have industry standard document format, we fix layout, text, fonts, graphics, embedded data. When you get a document in a PDF form, there's a lot of information, or can be a lot of information there. And so it makes that, for lack of a better word, dumb data more intelligent. Helps you organize it. Now, Bluebeam View, this is that free PDF viewer, which allows you to basically open PDFs in that environment. But when you make that conversion, when you start changing those habits, now all of a sudden you're in their platform. You can leverage their platform to help grow your knowledge and familiarity and mastery of this program. They're especially helpful for specific documents that allow access to their other services such as Studio. So once you have View, now you can, start doing some other things. Now, Review is a paid program that gives you full access to these tools and services. Products and Bluebeam has to offer, you'll see that the range is around $2 3/4 to $417, depending on the project you're purchasing. And we would encourage you to reach out to them directly. I have some representatives that will come out to you if need be, or just have a phone call. Now, Bluebeam Studio, this is a cloud-based service that allows people to collaborate and share information. You'll find that a lot of the larger firms, they possess this technology. And so it's a little more expensive, obviously. However, typically it's the small firms, they don't have to pay, because they're accessing, the server and the studio of the larger firms. The studio projects is a part of the Bluebeam Studio. This is for large contractors like Hoffman Construction. They use this for document control on their jobs. They're actually one of the pioneers of understanding this technology, and they used it on a project at the University of Washington. Okay. And so I got some firsthand knowledge working with one of their project engineers. And actually we taught a class on Bluebeam. Go to our website, you'll find that information there as well. One of our trademarks is we like to make sure the material that we cover is able to be replayed over and over and over again in case there was something you missed. Because a lot of people, they lose their materials from the class. But when it's in the cloud, it's there. And then in the studio sessions, it allows many people to collaborate on viewing that document. And it can be helpful when you have a lot of different stakeholders that may want to comment on a single document or several documents. And again, more information with them. Now I have some links here that go into specific recorded webinars. They're more extensive. Now for this class, because I wanted to be able to have the one-on-one, the videos that we're going to be presenting are short. These videos that I have embedded into the presentation are longer, and so you can take some time to go over those. Bluebeam Document Control. Most general contractors will host their projects on their own, like I was mentioning, in that studio environment, which will allow you to access them and download them directly. The invitee will need to use Bluebeam View or Review. And so if you have either one of those programs, you should be able to access them. You can access them directly from your computer, your Surface, iPad, or even your smart device. Projects can be saved and synced to a computer or device offline. And so now you can work off of that program and make some comments, and when you're ready, you can put it back up. For document control, we were able to embed a training video that will give you some insight on that as well. The days of posting to a full-size paper are over. Most posting now is done right into the cloud, and so those documents can be used by multiple users at once. Vendors can come into the process at any point. Many of you probably are familiar with projects where they want you to bid on certain information, but then they didn't give you all the information, or it wasn't the most recent version. So you're bidding off of different levels. And this technology really has been able to streamline through that process, so it identifies where you're at, so you know what version you're looking at. The dashboard and indexes are on top, followed by the drawings and then the specifications, and then the RFIs and ASIs. The documents are hyperlinked together to allow for easy navigation on a device. The file structure is straightforward for easy navigation as well, and the hyperlinks allow for quick access to predetermined areas, which really helps minimize the back and forth. So you're working in a live environment, minimal searching. The program can be set up so you can develop parameters on who can access what, who can make changes to what, and so that can be embedded into your program, and that can be set as parameters. As it relates to viewing who's on it at the same time, I know that there is a capability where multiple people, like in a site meeting, we can all be looking at it. The great thing about the dashboards is you click on the dashboard. Where you get to the dashboard, you'll see the indexes, the drawings and specifications, and you're able to go right into the project. On some of these $100 million projects that we're involved in, the plans can be this tall, and the specs can be as tall.
Right.
You know, a lot of times they come in these big boxes. That's the first set. There's 3 sets. And so having some electronic tools that can help you go to your section can save a lot of time. From the index, you can choose that drawing that you're looking for, and the hyperlink will take you right there. That's the primary benefit of this program. You don't have to be in the office. Users can go directly to the file folder where the document you're looking for is located and open it right from there. And again, we have another video. Now, the clarification process on projects can be very intensive. I've been on a project where there was 200 requests for information before they ever broke ground. 200. And that's not uncommon. When you have 200 clarifications that are being spit at you, and so Bluebeam has developed a process. So throughout the life of the project, you know, you're going to get these questions. Normally, they're focused on drawings or specifications. Formal questions are presented to the design team. They're tracked and then posted to the set. They show markups, and then they're hyperlinked to the original document. So now you can see the history instead of this little limited little perspective. Users may click on a call out and be taken directly to the RFI that created this whole situation. And sketches and other information are embedded in the RFIs and also linked directly to the drawings. The owner and design team also make changes, and that's where these ASIs come in. They'll initiate changes throughout the life of the project, and these changes include updates on new drawings and sheets and specifications, and then these are incorporated into the set and made official. The way this works is each drawing has its own file containing the previous versions, which is the newest on top. The previous versions of each drawing sheet are crossed out. No, you don't want to bid on that one, right? So there's no way that anyone can make a mistake on the current sheet. That's out of date. Another way is these sheets can also be tracked by date specifics. And so you can have a naming convention where you have R representing revision and then a year, month, and date. You can see how this kind of order can really create some benefit and put you on the right page with your staff. Now, I'm going to play a short video that Bluebeam has put together.
This training video is Bluebeam 101, introducing you to the basics of Bluebeam Review. There are 2 Bluebeam options. Bluebeam View is a free viewer that can be downloaded to view documents and their markups in Bluebeam. The second option is Bluebeam Review, which requires a license, yet also allows for the functionality that will be shown. Bluebeam Review is a PDF viewer that has Adobe Pro capabilities in addition to markup, measurement, comparison, punch list, and other features. Once downloaded, there will be a Bluebeam Review icon on your desktop. When Bluebeam Review opens, we first want to get it set up with how others are doing so. In the bottom right, look for the person icon and make sure that construction is selected. This ensures that when talking to someone else who is using Bluebeam, the icons and locations will all be in the same place. The general tools are on the top. We will be discussing Document, Markup, and Measure. On the left-hand side panel lists all the previously open documents. Select one or click File, Open, and browse for one. When I have opened multiple documents, you'll find that there will be tabs at the top that you can toggle back and forth between. On the right-hand side panel lists markup and measurement tools, along with their associated properties. With my mouse, I can quickly zoom in or out and drag or move the document around my screen. We are first going to discuss the Measurement and Takeoff toolset. Bluebeam Review has some of the same skill sets as on-screen Takeoff. On the right-hand panel, click on the purple ruler. You can also select Measure Tool on the top toolbar. First, Bluebeam needs to get a measurement of the scale for the document. Click on the Calibrate button and pick 2 points with a known length. Enter the length or validate that the length you measured is correct, and click OK. You can now begin taking measurements. The ruler will snap the two ends pretty intuitively and populate a distance. Notice the ruler icon as you move the mouse around. To stop taking measurements, simply click Escape. Now that the measurements are on the drawing, you can change the properties. The default ones are shown. However, by clicking on the Dimension and the Properties button, these can be changed and defaulted. You can change the color of the arrow, the size, and the style, along with the font, color, and size. On the property screen, if you scroll to the bottom, you can select Set as Default, so the measurements moving forward will all have these same properties. The second measurement tool to discuss is measuring the area. You can click on the area icon at the top and find a space on the document where you'd like to measure this. In this example, we're going to show the area of the vending room. With the ruler icon, you'll click on all four corners. And the area measurement will populate. Click on the area and the properties icon. You can now change the line, fill, hatch, and font colors, much like the previous example. You can also scroll to the bottom and set these changes as your default, so that every measurement for the area moving forward will all look and feel the same. The third measurement tool is volume. Now, this can be used when measuring concrete pours, for example. You're going to find an area for which you want to measure the volume of your concrete pour. And you'll go select the four corners of your room. Notice that the volume has populated, but the properties default needs to be revised. By clicking the Escape button and clicking on the volume measurement, clicking on the ruler icon, you'll see that the depth has been defaulted to 4 inches. You can change this to another dimension, and by clicking back on the volume that you just took, that number will automatically recalculate. The last measurement tool to show is the count. This can be used when counting inventory. By clicking on the count icon, you will then click on the items you wish to count. In this case, we'll be counting the sinks in the restrooms on the first floor. Notice on the right-hand side that the count is listed as 14, meaning we've calculated 14 sinks. Now by clicking Escape and clicking on the Markup pen on the right-hand side, you'll see that every measurement we've taken on this document has been cataloged. We can now click on the count measurement and change the title so that we know what we've measured. In this instance, the sinks. This list can eventually be exported, so defining the counts and other measurements that you've taken will help when the document has been exported. Moving on to the markup tools, there'll be 2 we will be discussing: callout and Polygon. The callout markup allows you to write text anywhere on your document. By simply clicking next to an item and entering text, you're able to enter information or questions about a specific item. You can also move the callout to put it in a place that is readable. And the arrow is dynamic enough to stay in the same place. The second markup tool is the Polygon. What this allows you to do is draw a shape, fill in its properties so that you can note areas on your drawings that may not be open space. So if you have specific equipment that's coming in that will be placed within this room, but yet it's not drawn on here, you can supplement that by simply adding in a polygon and adding text and properties to fill in that space. Notice you can change the fill color, the line color, width, and also the hatch. One other feature that we can do within Bluebeam Review is we can take a snapshot of a highlighted area. There's a snapshot icon that looks like a camera, where when you click that, you're able to then highlight an area and then take this area and place it into another document, such as an email or a Word document. Now you have pulled out a specific area without damaging the original that you can begin to have further discussion about or send out for more clarification. Another feature we're going to show is similar to the functionality in Adobe Pro, and that is pulling in multiple documents into one page. By clicking on Document, Pages, and Insert Pages, you're able to pull in multiple documents or supplemental information to come in either before or after this page. In this example, we have our original I-101-1, and we want to bring in the void documents so that we have packaged all the revisions for this drawing. Now, down towards the bottom, you have the option to pull these documents in before or after the original document that you're viewing. By simply clicking OK, the documents will now come in after the original. You'll notice this by looking at the bottom, where you can see you now have 3 drawings within this one drawing. You can toggle between the 3. You can also view the thumbnails over on the left-hand side, which allows a quick snapshot of all the documents that you've brought in. Another tool that Bluebeam Review has is document comparison. How this can be used is when new bulletins or updated drawings have been sent and you want to compare the changes against your current drawings. This can come in handy when architects cloud entire sections of pages or when there's no clouds at all. What the comparison tool does is it highlights specific areas of changes that have been made between the 2 documents. By clicking on Document, Comparison, and Compare Documents, you can now select the 2 documents you wish to compare. By clicking OK, a new sheet will populate that is called DIFF for difference. You'll notice that on the left-hand side. You'll also see that this document has various clouded regions, meaning that there's been a difference from the void 2 document on the right as compared to our void 3 document on the left. You'll also notice in the bottom right that the sync button is highlighted. This means that when you scroll in on one sheet, the other sheet will scroll in so that you're able to compare the 2 simultaneously. Now, by looking on the left-hand side, you'll see a clouded area. Now, if you compare the A700 icon over onto the right side, you'll see that the reason it was highlighted was because this was a new icon that was brought in. If you look up to the left, you'll notice another cloud. This cloud, when compared to the document on the right, does not bring in any new dimension or section detail callout. So what you're able to do is click on the cloud, and in the properties on the right, you can unlock the cloud and delete it. By doing a few cleanup steps, you're able to make sure the document has clouded areas that pertain to why you would send this to a subcontractor or an outside vendor for pricing revision, as an example. You can continue to review the document to find any necessary clouded regions as they compare to the previous ones, and leave the clouds or delete them as needed. You'll see that when we added in the comparison document, the screen split into 2. In the bottom left, there's an X icon, which will unsplit your screen, as well as the 2 arrow for vertical and horizontal split screens. The split screen can be used when wanting to view a plan, but yet also pull in a detail sheet. In this example, on the right, we have I-101, and on the left, we're going to view I-620. We're also going to unsync the two documents so that when you scroll to view the page on the right, you won't scroll the page on the left. We're now going to find a column that has a section detail callout, I-620. So you'll see in the conference room, there is a column callout. So now on the left-hand side of my screen, I can zoom in to section 6, I-620. And now I can review the detail as well as the plan overview. This concludes the Bluebeam 101 training. To have Bluebeam Review as your default PDF viewer, on the right-hand side, click Settings, Administrator, and on the Review tab, you're able to select Bluebeam as your default viewer.
To me, it really mitigates risk. And that's what you're trying to do as small businesses. You're trying to mitigate risk.